Hello, everyone. I just want to talk to y'all a couple of things about uh, some martial arts history and stuff that I experienced along my journey uh, growing up as a teenager uh, about the martial arts. Well, folks, a couple of things that I want to shed the light on uh, back in my teenage years of training with my first master, my first sensei. Um, there was an incident that occurred around 1990, going into 1991. But let me first start with 1990. I was about 17 years old, and there was two schools that I knew, two instructors. They weren't good instructors at all. I don't mean to talk bad about these particular instructors, these people, because you're not supposed to talk bad about anyone in martial arts, but I'm just giving you the true facts on what these two martial arts masters did. And my first sensei also knew what they did, and they did not like my first sensei. And it wasn't that he didn't like them, he didn't like what they were doing, because they were doing wrong, and they were doing stuff they had no business doing to people at the martial arts schools of their academy, and they were doing bad stuff that dishonors the martial arts. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So I'm not gonna give their full name of these two men because I don't want nobody, you know, taking shots at me or trying to come back. Well, you were talking bad about me, and now I'm gonna file a suit against you for slandering my name. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just going to tell you their first names of these two instructors at that time, these two masters. Okay, one of them was part of the Taekwondo Hapkido Association, and so was the other one. He was a Taekwondo instructor, master instructor. His first name, uh, well, I want to give his last name. I'll just say it like this. I don't want nobody to recognize who I'm talking about or who it is, because I don't want nobody trying to say I'm talking bad about someone, which I'm not. Um, his first name was Barry. That's all I'm gonna say. And then the other guy who he was partners with and friends with at his dojo school, his first name was Mike. I'm not gonna say their last names because if I say their last names, then everybody is gonna know who I'm talking about. Back, especially where my home state is. I'm not even gonna go there because I don't want people knowing, because I don't want none of this stuff leaking back because of that. But in 1990, I can't remember the month. I think it was maybe, I know it happened right when summer, before summer started. I know that because I was getting out of high school for the summer. Right before I got out of high school, somebody had a tournament about 49 miles away from my hometown. And I went to go compete in that tournament. Although my teacher didn't want me competing in tournaments. He didn't like, us to compete in tournaments. He wanted us to learn martial arts for its true meaning. Not to get out there and compete and try to show, off our skills. He wanted us to use it in a more honorable way. He didn't believe in tournaments. But he went ahead and let me register. He let me go to see how I would do. And I actually did very well. I got first place at a junior competition. I did have a VHS tape of it. It got destroyed or lost because if I had it, I would definitely put it out where y'all could see it. And that was my first uh, major tournament. And then I had a second tournament. I actually won first place in both of them. And then the third one, I got second place. It got a little harder. But I did very well, And my teacher was proud of me, but he didn't really want me competing. He didn't want us to use our skills for sport because he was teaching traditional skills designed not for competition but for real life, fighting, battlefield, stuff like that. But to make a long story short, these two men that I mentioned, uh, the first one named Barry, instructor, and the other one, Mike, the other instructor. Well, these guys were making trouble in these martial arts schools, and they were having these tournaments, and they had these tournaments and judges being bought, paid under the table to cheat to the other side uh, to rip off the winnings. Put it that way. It's like you want to win, so you want to pay somebody to cheat on the judge panel, and that's basically what these guys were doing. Not only that, they were doing a bunch of illegal stuff. I'm not going to say what else they were doing, but these guys caused a lot of problems, especially for me. They found out, who I was and got to know who I was, because I was known for my martial arts in my town. I was known to be, tough, but I wasn't trying to be like that. It just happened because there would be bullies, and you know how you finally, you defeat a bully and then word gets out. It was like that. I never was trying to be nothing like that. And it just happened. So what happened was when I entered the tournament and they ran into, my teacher and myself, these two guys, because they knew who I was from the town. Everybody knows each other back in those small towns. So they didn't too much like me, for the fact that I wouldn't join their schools to be a student. First, they tried to tempt me to go be a student at their schools. I wouldn't do it. And the fact that I had a friend who was a student of one of them, and he didn't even like what they were doing. And this friend of mine, his first name was Ricky. I ain't going to say his last name. I'm keeping all these people's privacy unknown because I don't want nobody trying to go back and, talk, oh, he was talking about me. No, I'm not. I'm just speaking true facts here because I was there, other people was there, and I'm just giving y'all what we saw and what we know because we were there, okay? I was there. My teacher was there. Many other people was there too. And I'm not going to say their names, and you know why. But anyway, these two did so much dirt in the martial arts. These guys abused the martial arts. Not only were they bribing the judges and ripping off martial arts panels for competition, these guys were doing illegal stuff that they had no business doing in schools. I mean, bad stuff. I'm not going to say what it was. They got in trouble with the police down the road behind this. So at that 1990 tournament that was held at that time when I was 17, these two guys got into it with some other people from another martial arts school that my teacher was friends with. That's how this all started. So these guys, after the tournament, they wanted to get in a mix with those other people from this other martial arts school that were competing at that time. My teacher got in between those two because they was about to get into a battle, a fight, I guess you could say, a confrontation, and it turned very ugly. So my teacher jumped into it and he broke it up. Yeah, he broke it up all right. And those two guys that I mentioned, the first instructor, Barry, and the second one named Mike, well, they actually tried to assault my sensei. And my sensei, he put a good whipping on both of them that I'll never forget. And it happened so quick. It was done within probably 5 or 6 seconds. That quick. And my sensei was only 5'4" and only weighed like 160 pounds or 155 pounds. And these guys were like 6'1", 190 pounds. One of them, I think, Bland was about that weight size. And I don't want to say the last name. Give me for saying that. Whoops. I'm just going to say Mike again. So, watch your tongue, right? So, he was around that size. And then the other one, the Barry instructor, he was about probably 6 foot 190 pounds, around there. A lot bigger than my teacher. And that fight only went for a couple of seconds. That he took care of those two. So the police came and it was a big mess. They both got in trouble. One of them actually was working for the police department at the time. I ain't gonna say which one it was, but I do know. And he got in a lot of trouble. He was falsely arresting people. He was falsely arresting a lot of black people in the city. He lied on them. He done so much evil crap. And one of them tried to do some stuff to me just because I would not become his student and train at his dojo. And I wasn't going to do that because I was so dedicated to my first master and my first teacher. And my first teacher warned me to never go to a teacher like those two because they just honored the martial arts. They didn't see it for how it really is. So that was a very valuable lesson that not only did I get to witness what happened at that tournament that particular day, but it taught me some lessons up the road, you know. And that's the problem that we see in martial arts today. We got all this politics and all this competition. We got people bad mouthing other people, you know. Even though I'm talking about these men, I'm not bad mouthing them. I'm just telling you what I saw with my two eyes, and other people saw what these men were doing. Okay? And I'm not trying to paint a bad picture on these men, you know. I'm not judging them, you know. But these men were doing evil, okay? And they were exploiting the martial arts in the wrongful, dishonorable way. And that's not what it's about. These men were going around not only doing bad stuff, illegal stuff within the panels of competition in dojo schools, but they were also having dojo wars with other schools, deliberately starting wars with other dojos. And we know that's been going on for a long time. It goes way back, hundreds of years ago, you know, with different types of martial arts schools. This school don't like this school, or that school don't like that school. You know, people need to stop this. You know, it does not matter what style that you teach or you practice. People need to grow up and stop this childishness. You know, learn from one another. Quit trying to, you know, mock the other style, saying, well, my style is better than your style. You need to learn that every martial art has something to offer. Stop trying to outdo the race. Quit trying to win the race. That ain't what it's about. There is no race, you know, to win. It's a learning race. To learn the race within the race. And in that way, you all win together, if you understand what I'm saying. And I'm getting tired of these other schools talking about people that I've trained with, putting them down, talking about them. I get so tired of hearing that, but I just let it go in one ear and out the other because it happens all the time. They talk bad stuff about a good friend of mine. You know, he gave me a path, he trained me, he believed in me. I learned so much from him, my big brother. And I get so tired of people talking about him, you know. They have no idea what this man has done to help other martial artists and other people get where they are today by his grace and his knowledge and his caring, you know. And not only him, other great martial artists too, like him. You know, people need to stop this ridicule. And the stuff that I see, you know, like in MMA, I mean, those are some great fighters. You know, I got a lot of respect for their competition. They're really good. But I wish they would stop trying to outdo the other and stop trash talking each other. Trying to want to hurt each other. All because they want some title or all because of their ego. One of the lessons in martial arts is to lose the ego. Hello. Don't have an ego. You know, and I wish people would just learn to not have that. We all have been down that road with an ego. until we learn there is no ego. And that's the very valuable lesson that I learned from my first master. It took a while, but I finally learned it. And it took me so long to realize this very important lesson. You choose how you're going to grow in your martial arts. You choose to grow what's inside. And that was the lesson that he was trying to teach me over 30 years ago. And I finally got it. I don't know why I was so blind and so stupid until I get it over 30 years later. I just want to say to everybody that's on the martial arts path, learn from everyone and learn to appreciate what a martial arts style has to offer. Every martial arts has something to offer. Always remember that, okay? And don't be clouded by ego and misjudgment and self-centeredness and self-righteousness of wrongdoing, because that's not getting nowhere. That's wrongness of the martial arts. It's dishonorable. Don't be like that kind of person or that kind of student or teacher, And I was mentioned back to these two men. Those two men were dishonoring the martial arts at that time. Now, I don't know what happened to them down the road, but I know that they got in a lot of trouble with the law, and it did not end good for these guys, And they hated me ever since, and I had nothing to do with what they were doing. But I guess they hated me for the fact because of what my teacher did, and that I didn't become their student at that time when I was a teenager. So this is like a real life Cobra Kai series. Not a film, not a movie. This is something that happened in real life. So we got a lot of Cobra Kais out there, in real life. So always keep that in mind, people. Don't be in that kind of group of category with those individuals. You want to stay away from that kind of martial arts environment dojos that have those type of instructors. Don't deal with that, because that's bad. I know, because I was there firsthand and I got to witness some of this stupidity at that time. And I mean, it was stupidity. And I learned a lot from it, So I'm telling you what happened back at that time over 30 years ago. Things was a lot different because that was old school training. We didn't have internet. We didn't have YouTube or social media where I could do a video like this and put it on, tell y'all or show it. I'm glad we didn't, because if we would have had YouTube back at that time and I would have filmed some of this actual stuff, I think a lot of people would have been very angry and very, very mad, and it would have caused probably more problems. Who knows, But I'm just glad that we didn't have this social media back at that time, for good reason. Well, I just want to tell you, thank you for listening to my testimony of some stuff that I went through back in the past while beginning on my martial arts journey as a teenager. Has led me to who I am today with great people, great teachers that lead me. I just want to say thank you, everybody. I want to thank all the teachers that I am connected with today that's helped me and guided me. You know who you are, especially my big brother, us. A lot of respect and power to him. And I'm glad I got to tell my testimony to allow y'all to let you know what things was like on my journey, experiencing my martial arts journey to get where I am today. So that's what I try to teach my students. I try to teach them great etiquette, not to be like those two guys, that I mentioned. So anyway, keep training. God bless you. And follow the path. Remember, there's more paths, many paths that lead to a mountaintop. It depends on which path you choose to get there. And the most important Bible lesson that my first master teach me, you choose how you grow in your martial arts. You will one day choose how you grow. Think about what that is. All right? Us. Keep training. Us.